Morning, welcome to morning meeting. So here's what's on my mind this morning. I'm sitting here thinking about how do you know when it's time to let something go? How do you actually know that? And I come from the mindset of I think we're the experts about ourselves. We do know. It's just that sometimes we struggle to admit that it's time to let something go or it's time to move on from a situation because that can be painful and we just don't want to really deal with the pain that's involved in that process, even though the pain we are experiencing or might be experiencing in the moment really sucks, really bites. We believe perhaps that the other pain, the actual dealing with that stuff, is going to be so much worse. But is it really? And I think back, there have been times where you have dealt with whatever the issue was and you moved on, and here you are, right? You survived it. So again, we all know. I firmly believe we are the experts in our lives. We know. And in fact, if you talk to any therapist worth their salt, they're going to say, you are the expert on you. I'm just here to help you see what you already know, what you deep down already know. That's the role of that therapist typically, to do that. So, how do you know? Maybe it's sitting and just being still for a bit and thinking about whatever the issue or situation might be. I'll give you an example. My husband and I owned a tea company for a very long time. We still technically own the tea company. We never sold it. We just simply closed it. And it's one of those things that I shouldn't say simply, it took a lot of time and thinking to get to the point where we did that. But it's one of those things that I always thought, well, if I decide I want to go back and do it again, I still own everything. So I was a custom tea blender and lemonade blender. I still own all the recipes I created. I didn't sell those off. And so I could do that again if I wanted to. I could write whole books about that if I wanted to. So I kind of kept that in my back pocket and I didn't let that part go. But it was time to let go of the store and it was time to let go of the markets that I was involved in. It was just time. But it took years to finally admit that and to let that go. And I think part of the reason why it took so long is I really felt like, oh my God, I failed. I failed at this. I thought that I was going to make this so much bigger. I thought it was going to be like the tea of Starbucks or whatever, right? I thought I was going to make it that big, and then I didn't. And part of the reason I didn't was because, life happened and other things really gained my interest and I didn't want that anymore. That's essentially what it came down to. I didn't want that anymore. And I was having a hard time admitting out loud that I didn't want that anymore. And part of the reason that was happening is because so many other people, I felt, had invested in me and this opportunity and making this a success. Now, hindsight, as it works, I know that that wasn't a failure. I know that I made a success of that business. That business was profitable. So it was not a failure. But I still had a hard time walking away from it. I mean, that's just the reality of it. At the end of the day, that was a really good decision that I made a bit too late. I should have done it sooner. I should have done it way sooner. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. Can't do anything about that now, right? So you learn from these things. You're the expert about you. And you just have to sit a minute and listen to what the expert inside of you is telling you to do. Just sit a minute. There's no real big hurry, right? Typically. So sit a minute and listen. And you don't have to listen to anybody else. You can seek their advice if you want to. But at the end of the day, the decision has to be yours. And the decision has to come from the expert that is you. So that's what I'm thinking about today. So leave a comment, subscribe, let me know what your thoughts are on who the expert is in your life. See you later.